I can't. I can't. What? Marvel? What the fuck was that post-credit scene?
You don't want any part of this.
What's up? Brett here, back with a new review, and it's on Spider-Man. I just got back from it, and holy crap, is my mind racing with what I thought of it. And let's get into what I thought of it, actually. I'm gonna get into it right now. Now, to be honest, it is not the best Spider-Man film, nor is it the worst Spider-Man film. It is somewhere in the middle. It clearly has a lot of good in it, but there's also a lot of bad stacked up against it that keeps it from being amazing or a masterpiece, and that's very disappointing. I really wanted this to be the first Spider-Man film I could give the 10 out of 10, but no, sadly it's not. This will just go down as pretty solid. That doesn't mean I hate it. I honestly personally enjoyed my time with it, but I feel like it's one of those films that after multiple viewings I could tend to see more of the bad than the good. That was me with The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Venom. My opinions on those films gradually decreased the more and more times I rewatched it, and the more and more I got a better brain to think about movies. Now anyway, let's go to the pros. There are a decent amount of them. The pros of Spider-Man Far From Home. Overall, a lot of the cons and issues with that people might have had with Homecoming, whether it be the swinging, the action, the CGI, a lot of it has been fixed. It's pretty much a standard that a sequel should step up what the first one did. And this film really did a good job. The story was way better. It felt more like a Spider-Man story. It had way more consequences than you would expect a Spider-Man story to have. And a lot of the characters feel way more fleshed out and a way more intimate than what they've done. It's a pretty emotional film too. I'm pretty sure going into this you think you're just gonna get Homecoming again, a funny, smart, different take on Spider-Man that we didn't see before. No, Spider-Man Far From Home is pretty much taking elements of what Homecoming did, a fun action adventure film that has Spider-Man in it, and then pulls elements of the comics into the film, mushing it together to create this pretty okay, solid film. It's not, once again, it's not the worst, it is not the best, it is pretty solid. Now, a lot of things are still good about this movie. The cast is really good, especially Tom Holland. He is clearly the best Peter Parker. It's just a shame that sometimes the writing doesn't really attribute to the best Spider-Man I believe we've had on screen. The romance between MJ and Peter were really realistic. I felt like they were truly in love the whole time. It was a really convincing romance between the two. Now, to be honest, a lot of this film has a decent amount of good. The post-credit scenes, for example, holy shit. I feel like Jon Watts took elements from a certain TV show. I don't know if you heard it, it's called The Spectacular Spider-Man. It's a cartoon from the early 2000s. And it is one of the greatest Spider-Man related things out there. Recommend you watch it. And if you go and watch that and then go back to watch Far From Home, you will understand exactly where Jon Watts got that idea. The first post-credit scene leaves you thinking this emotion. Are you fucking kidding me? Not in a bad way. It's not in a bad way. You literally feel shocked, like, holy shit. Whoa. Whoa. It's one of the best, if not the best, Spider-Man best post-credit scenes I've seen. I feel like I'm saving the best for last. Mysterio. He is, without a doubt, one of the best villains in the MCU so far. He has a decent motivation, and it pulls a lot back. It still relies a little bit on the Tony Stark narrative, the reason why all the villains, because, you know, Peter looks up to Tony Stark. Why don't we make every single villain fucking hate Tony Stark? But still, there's a lot of good stuff in this film. Whether you found the things I found good to be god-awful, that's your opinion. Anyway, let's get to what I didn't like. Okay, so while every step forward Far From Home takes, it takes 2 steps back. Jon Watts clearly listened in 2017. If you were one of the people who believed that the consequences that Peter Parker faced in Homecoming were not how Peter Parker or his character would react or how his world would react. You are not going to like this movie either. This film clearly did not take the consequence criticism and put it into this movie. He took a lot of the stereotypical remarks that early critics and people who just didn't really like the film at the beginning of the release go. It's clear, though, that the hatred of Homecoming has become more of a loud minority than ever before. It's been pretty big, and a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about in the cons will actually solidify you will not like this film if you did not like Homecoming. Another thing is just that the idea of the post-credit scene, while really shocking and hypes you up for the third installment, it also makes you worried. What does Jon Watts really want to do with this character? Is he willing to go the extra step? Is he building up this Spider-Man to be the Spider-Man he knows? Is he building up Spider-Man just to be a stereotypical action hero? We don't know yet. Spider-Man Far From Home has some problems, like I've said. It's not a very fluent film. Like, the pacing, while really fast, it also, when it slows down, you really feel it. Like, you're just awaiting for the next, like, high-paced, fast-paced action sequence or, like, conversation. There's a point in the film that was so out of place, it felt like I was watching a Batman versus Scarecrow movie. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. While it was an amazing moment, it just didn't feel right. Like, I've never seen a Mysterio's character do the things he could do. It just was a weird experience. Now, also, the CGI, while was improved, was also not improved. It was clear that a lot of the practical effects that were used were once again CGI'd over. Don't know why Marvel loves doing that with the Spider-Man costumes. It clearly is setting up a different take on Spider-Man that we haven't seen before. But I'm ready to see that this version will become the Spider-Man that, if you're a fan and you know how Spider-Man should react, should. This film builds up a character flaw called Peter's trust issues. Basically, if you don't know, Peter has immense trust issues in any other social media. In any form of media he's in, he doesn't trust as people as he should, and the people he does trust end up betraying him in the end. It's one of the best aspects of Peter's character, and I'm glad that this film does bring this up. It's clearly setting up to become the Spider-Man we know and love. While the Spider-Man we know and love can be pretty much of a dick sometimes, it still could be the Spider-Man we all know and love. Now, with all that said and done, the pros and the cons fused in together to form the magnificent 1 through 10 rating system I've put for my channel, I'm gonna give Spider-Man Far From Home a...
What else you can use? What about Thor?
Off-world.
Captain Marvel. Unavailable. But I'm just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Bitch, please, you've been to space.
What do you want, Peter? I want to go back on my trip with the girl who I really like and tell her how I feel. MJ, I
am Spider-Man.
No, of course I'm not.
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
You're right, you may not be ready, but this is my responsibility. Saving the world requires sacrifice. Sometimes people die.
Oh my God.
I just always feel like I'm putting my friends in danger. The world needs the next Iron Man.
You going to step up or not?
So, I'm going to leave this episode off here. Subscribe using the little subscribe button on any device you're using. Like the video using the thumbs up button. Dislike the video if you using the thumbs down button. Share the video using the share icon. Save the video to a playlist if you really wanted to. And I'll see you in the next video.